Dan Illman here, taking a look at race number 8 at Santa Anita on Sunday. It is the Grade 3 Tokyo City Cup. Some stout horses running a mile and a half on the main track. 3 turns on the main track at the Great Race Place. Let's take a look at this field for this 100 grander. We've got some nice old warriors in here, including the number 1, Tis a Magician, who won the Tokyo City last year by 9 lengths, and is just one of the better stayers in the country on his best day. He'll be facing one of his arch rivals, the number 3, Haywood's Beach, who got the better of Tis a Magician in the Cougar the Second Stakes at Del Mar over the summer. He's another horse that really seems to appreciate longer distances. We also have some lightly raced 3-year-olds stretching out in distance with potential, and one very interesting horse switching surfaces for the first time. We'll talk about that one, the number 6 Avenue, in a minute. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector, and this is a bit of a surprise. A red bar scenario in a mile and a half dirt race? Well, Timeform US believes this pace could be hot. Tis a Magician likes to be out there on or near the lead. And Storm the Court, the number 7, is a horse that can show some positional speed as well. Newgrange, the 2, stretching out in distance, has some speed. Haywood's Beach, Extra Hope. These horses can all be close to the pace. So while I'm not sure they'll be blistering out of there in a 45-second half mile, they'll be going a fair pace in the Tokyo City, and closers shouldn't be compromised at all. Let's start things off with Tis a Magician, who's just a very likable horse. They tried turf last time out in the Del Mar Handicap. That's just not his surface. He is a dirt horse, as evidenced by his win in this race last year, as evidenced by his runner-up effort in the Pacific Classic in 2021, and his runner-up effort in the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance on Breeders' Cup weekend at Del Mar. This is only his 3rd start of the year. As he's gotten older, Mr. Mandela's taken his time with Tis a Magician, and I thought his race in the Cougar the Second behind Haywood's Beach was very good, considering it was his first start off a lengthy layoff, and it might have just been a starting off point for Tis a Magician. So I think he has a little bit of an excuse for that loss, a big excuse for his most recent loss on the turf, and he might be ready to rock and roll in his 3rd start of the year, getting back to his preferred dirt surface. He might just simply be the horse to beat. The number 2 is Newgrange, a talented 3-year-old that won a couple of graded stakes races earlier this year for Bob Baffert down at Oaklawn Park. Now, after bombing in the Rebel at a very short price, he went to the sidelines for a long time, returned for trainer Phil D'Amato, and not a lot of things went right for him in his first start for his new trainer. It was the Shared Belief Stakes going a mile. It was a race in where they ran 1-2 around the track. Newgrange didn't break very well and was on chase mode and likely needed the race to boot. The major question for Newgrange, a horse that does have a lot of upside, is whether he wants to go the mile and a half. His sire, Violence, doesn't get many horses that run at this marathon distance. His progeny are usually sprinters, milers, and maybe middle distance types. He has a little bit of stamina on the bottom of his pedigree, Newgrange. He'll be close to the pace. A lot of questions he has to answer, but the price on the morning line is fair, 8-1, for a horse with some upside. Let's watch Haywood's Beach down Tis a Magician in the Cougar the Second. 2 starts back for both horses before they ran on turf in the Del Mar Handicap, and both didn't do well on a surface that's not their best. Haywood's Beach stayed in close attendance to Tis a Magician and got the better of him that day. Now, the difference might have been that Haywood's Beach already had a race in 2022, a tune-up in the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, while Tis a Magician was running this race cold off the layoff, but you don't want to fault Haywood's Beach, a horse that's just gotten progressively better ever since they've stretched him out in distances. John Sadler should have him in a pretty nice spot right off of the pace in this race, and this is a horse that has run some fast races, going longer distances, and you don't have the distance and surface question to answer. Extra Hope is the number 4, and talk about excuses and mulligans. I think it's fair to just draw a line through Extra Hope's most recent race. There are no flight lines in Saturday's Tokyo City Cup, and Extra Hope was battling it out for the early lead with Flightline in the Pacific Classic before paying the price. he was beaten 31 lengths. They all were by that superstar. His prior race, the Cougar II, the race we just showed you, the race where Haywood's Beach beat Tis a Magician, was a good performance for Extra Hope. He finished third that day, beaten less than a length and a half, and it just appears like he's come back in good form this form cycle. The distance is fine for him. He has some back class. He was a graded stakes winner back in 2020 when he won the Native Diver. And this is a horse that has a little bit more versatility than I think he's shown. He has gotten very good when they've allowed him to sort of run and gun on the lead. But earlier in his career, he also could sit back. He's 5-1, and he's solid. The 5 is Win the Day, and he's one of the lightly raced 3-year-olds along with Newgrange that we talked about earlier. The difference from Win the Day and Newgrange is that Win the Day has run very well at this distance, albeit on turf. He was beaten a nose in a first-level allowance last time out, going 1 3/8 miles on the grass. He handled the surface very well, but he's also run well on dirt in his career. He was third in the Los Alamitos Derby 3 starts back, and the runner-up that day, Slow Down Andy's no joke. He came back to run second in the Real Good Deal on dirt and then won the graded Del Mar Derby. So Win the Day is lightly raced. He's in good form off that nice effort on the turf, and he handles the distance. He's also bound to be a very good price as he steps up in class. The 6 is Avenue, and I usually don't like horses making surface switches or trying a new surface for the first time in a race like this, a graded stakes race. But if a horse is bred to handle the dirt, it's Avenue, who happens to be a younger half-brother to Tis a Magician, who's also in this race. Avenue has competed exclusively on the turf. He is coming off a win in a first-level allowance at Del Mar. He has the pedigree. The workouts seem to be okay on the dirt, and he's run some competitive races on turf. He's also very lightly raced and goes out for a barn that has had a good amount of success moving horses from turf to dirt. There Goes Harvard comes to mind, a horse that moved from turf to dirt and won the Grade 1 Gold Cup at Santa Anita earlier this year. Avenue has some upside, and he's got the right bloodlines. It's kind of amazing that Storm the Court, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at a huge price in 2019, A, is still racing, and B, hasn't won a race since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's going to go turf to dirt in his third start of the form cycle, and now they're going to stretch him all the way out where he's going to show his good tactical speed. His most recent start on dirt came Kentucky Derby weekend at Churchill Downs in a second-level allowance race. He faced a couple of next-out winners that day. It's just been a long, long time between drinks for Storm the Court, who has to go 1.5 miles and might have to do so on an honest pace. Governor's Party's best races have come on synthetic. He completes the field. We're going to watch his most recent start, a first-level allowance over the Topita at Golden Gate Fields. He'll finish a fine second that day with an 84 Beyer, which is one of his fastest races. Dirt is a big question mark for him. Distance is a bit of a question mark for him. Quality is probably the biggest question mark for him. He seems more like a first-level allowance type up in Northern California. But if the pace is fast, maybe he would benefit from a pace collapse. Honest horses in here like Tis a Magician and Haywood's Beach and Extra Hope, and I kind of want a new face as we take a look at my top picks. I think Avenue, the 6, is going to transfer his good dirt form to good turf form to the dirt. I like Michael McCarthy with these sort of horses, and he would benefit from a good pace up front. Avenue likes to sit back and make one run. Win the Day is a horse I might want to fool around with in exotic wagers. A horse that's done some good work on dirt and has recently run well going longer on the grass. A fun race. It is the Grade 3 Tokyo City Cup. We're going 1.5 miles. We'll see if the brothers, Avenue and Tis a Magician, hook up.